Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today we'll be looking at my geranium bonsai. I started this 2 months ago and now it's in flower. I potted this geranium into its first bonsai pot with bonsai soil, and I did get some dieback. I got this one branch that totally died off here. So today we'll be doing a little bit of cleanup work. I'll come in here with the branch pruners and I'll try and get a nice flush cut here. Like that. Because that one branch died off, I may have to change the styling in the future. You know, maybe using this as the front so the tree's kind of leaning towards you a bit. I don't know if new branches will sprout out from here. Once the plant goes outside in the summer, it'll probably get more vigorous. So we'll see in the future. I'll see what grows and develop the tree, you know, more in the midsummer. You can see on this geranium that all the growth is shooting in this direction, and that's because I had the window on this side of the plant. So when I put it back on the bench, I'll have to rotate it around. So I've got the window on this side, so I get some growth coming out, you know, this back direction. It'll kind of balance the tree out a bit. Right now, all this growth from the back is crossing over this top apex, so that'll help it get some more growth coming out the back, and it should look better for the future. So that's all the work I'll do on the geranium bonsai for today. Let's go on to tree number 2. The next tree I'll be working on is my Serissa foetida, and it's styled to look like an African acacia tree. I was having a real problem with this tree midwinter. The leaves are turning yellow and falling off, and I was getting branches that were dying back. And I thought, well, something's going wrong with this tree. I noticed that the leaves were kind of glossy on top, like they had a coating of sap. And I thought, well, maybe it's spider mites. And I inspected the tree carefully, and I couldn't see any insects on it. And I did the white piece of paper underneath the branch and tapped the branch, and I didn't see any spider mites. And I thought, well, I've got to do something or I could lose the whole tree. I mixed up a solution of 40 parts water to 1 part liquid dish soap, mixed it up, and I sprayed the whole tree top and bottom and waited, and then I rinsed it off. About a week later, I noticed the first signs of recovery. I wasn't getting any more yellowing on the leaves, and my shoots started to grow again. The tree is growing really well now. All the leaves look healthy, they're nice and green, and the shoots are growing. There's still a few yellow leaves on it, but they're falling off quickly. And I want to give it a pruning today because I don't want, you know, a few shoots to take off and thicken up. I want to grow out the canopy fairly evenly. So I'll be trimming back all these long shoots now. All right, here I go. I'm just going to snip them back, these long ones. Trying to use directional pruning wherever I can. Looking for suitable shoots to prune back to. Ah, there's that Serissa smell. It smells horrible. There's a little bit of white fly I noticed in my plant room. I've been trying to get rid of them. There's not many of them, but they like to land on the leaves that are under the spotlight. My Soltec light. So whenever I see them, I try and squish them. I think I've got most of those long shoots pruned back now, so I'll step back and have a look at it. I think the tree's looking quite good. I just wanted to give it a rough prune to kind of get it back in check. So on to the next tree. The next tree I'll be working on is my Dwarf Cheflera. It is just getting huge. The canopy's growing and it's taking up a lot of space in the plant room. I can't believe the size of this now. I'm going to start the pruning by removing all these leaves that are hanging down and blocking your view of the trunks. So here I go. We'll start with this one. Like that. Another one hanging down here. And one in here. Another one hanging down here. That allows you to see in at the tree a little better. I've got some on the left-hand side of the tree that are hanging down, so I'll remove those. Like that. There's some more here. like that. I'll rotate the tree around and just look for more hanging leaves. Maybe get some more from this side. Lots back here. It's a little better. And we're back around to the front. With all the lower leaves removed, you can now see the trunks a lot more clearly. I'll just show you a shot of those. My next step with the tree will be to just give the canopy a light prune. Any of these leaves sticking up out of the canopy profile, I'll just prune them off. It'll just make the tree a little more compact. I will be growing this out this summer, so it'll get really huge once it's outside, and I'll let it get really huge. So anything kind of, when looking from above, anything sticking out of my oval profile, I'm pruning back. It's also getting a little dense up top, so it needs a bit of thinning. I will, as I said, I'm going to grow it all out this summer, and then probably towards fall then, before I bring the plant back in for the winter, I will defoliate it and prune it back. So it'll be a big step forward for this. It'll get more ramification and fix a lot of the branches that are growing out of check in the wrong directions, and just a general cleanup of the structure. All right, I'll rotate this around again. This tree also had a bit of scale insects in the winter, so I sprayed it. I sprayed it at about the same time I did the Serissa, and yeah, it seems to have really helped. It's growing much better now. Okay, that's looking much better. I'll step back and have a look at that. My Schefflera is looking good, so we can go on to the next tree now. The next tree I'll be working on is my Ficus Microcarpa, the one I grew from a seed. And you can see there's a lot of shoots on it that are just growing long and tall. And I want to prune those back to kind of balance the vigor in the upper canopy. This tree is also taking up a lot of room. It's getting really big. I can remember when it was just a little tiny sprout. It just shot up from the soil and had a couple of little leaves on it, and now look at it, it's taking up almost my whole table. So I'll start pruning these long shoots back using directional pruning. It's getting quite a canopy on this tree. So anything that's sticking out of the profile I'm pruning back also. I don't want it getting too big. When I look down, I want this oval shape when viewed from above, so any shoots sticking out, I can prune those back. And anything that's getting too tall, I want to keep the tree in check until it goes outside for the summer, and then I'll let it grow. There's much more space outdoors in the summer than there is here in the plant room. Now I've got to get some of these vertical shoots pruned back here. There's some long shoots here. That can be taken back quite hard to there. Back to here. And this is just a rough pruning. When I defoliate the tree again, probably at the end of summer, I'll be doing a detailed pruning. Here's a look at the tree now. You can see the leaves are quite coarse still. It's needs years of refining to get all this branch structure in place. But it's a good start considering it grew from a seed. I'm quite happy with the progress of this tree. With my Ficus Microcarpa pruned up, I'll get out the next tree. I had to move the camera back for the next tree, and that's my Guava tree. And this is also grown from a seed. It was given to me by Young in our bonsai club as a skinny, kind of weak seedling, and it's been growing really well over the last few years. It's getting quite vigorous up top, and there's a few styling areas that I don't like, so I'm going to give it a prune today to kind of balance the vigor and get the tree on track as a bonsai. The last time that I pruned this tree, I had some funny structure up here. I had, my main trunk line coming up and then dividing into two, and then they kind of crossed in front of each other, and I never liked that. So I'm going to correct that today. Yeah, I think everything else is looking good on the tree other than it's, getting really tall, but I'll prune that back also. So I'll start by correcting that one area here. In this area, I've got, the branch comes out at an all right angle, and then it kind of crosses back behind this trunk. So I think if I cut it off here, I might get something, a new shoot sprouting, and maybe in a good direction. If nothing happens there, then I'll just, have that branch removed, and this will be my trunk line. So here I go. I'm going to prune it back. This is a fairly hard prune to here. Here I go. Just like that. Next, I want to reduce the height of the tree. You can see it's growing up and hitting the Canada arm. So I'll start by pruning these new shoots back, leaving a couple of leaves on the shoots. And I'm doing directional pruning. Right here. And back to here. That gets the height in check. I'll reduce the rest of the branches too, keeping a couple of leaves on each shoot. And that's got the tree all pruned up. The next step is just to let it grow. I'll put the guava back on the bench and I'll get out the next tree. The next tree I'll be working on is my hibiscus bonsai. You can see it's grown in really well and needs pruning. I'll start by removing some of the older yellow leaves. There's a few on the tree. One back here. I've got the fan on in the plant room, so it may be a little noisy, but there's a lot of construction work going on outside. So it's just to kind of drown out that noise. I don't know if it's any better, but I see there's still a little bit of aphids on this. I'm just killing them right now. That seemed to have gotten them. I may have to give this a spray with soap and water. It looks like it's got a lot of, I don't know if it's aphids or whitefly, something underneath the leaves, so I'd probably be best to spray this. I'll do the pruning first and then I'll spray. So again, I'll do directional pruning. Always pruning back to outward facing leaves if possible. Oh, there goes some whitefly. Yeah, it's on the back of this leaf. Rotten things. Well, I'll have to spray all that. I'll put these leaves outside in case they have like eggs or something on them. Whitefly and aphids sure like this hibiscus. They don't attack anything else, but they sure like these species of trees. So I'm getting around there. I'm still pruning. And I think that's got it all pruned back, except for this lower branch, which I forgot about. Oh, it's got lots of whitefly on it too. All right, definitely my next step is to get out the soap and water and give this a spray. I've got my soap and water mixture. warm water and dish soap in here, ready to spray. So here I go. So that gets the top of the leaves. And now I'll just spray this pile that's here. Now I've got to come up underneath. So I'll come up underneath and spray the bottoms of the leaves. That's usually where the whitefly hangs out. So that's got the whole tree covered now. I'll throw all the branches that I pruned off outside in case there's any insects still alive on them. There's a close-up of all the soapy leaves, top and bottom. It's sat a while, so now I'll get the clear rainwater and rinse it all off. All right, here I go with the rinse cycle. Just spraying all the leaves. Starting from the top. I'm working my way down. You have to test this soap and water mixture on your plants. Some trees, the leaves have a bad reaction to this soap and water mixture and they just shrivel up and die. Other leaves, the hibiscus I found is really tough and hardy. Most ficuses, they can take the soap and water, the Scheffleras can. But it's always a good idea to test it out on your tree before you go spraying it and possibly losing all your leaves. Yeah, that's looking good. Now I'll come up underneath and spray the bottoms of the leaves. So here I go on that. And I think that's got it. After the wash and the rinse cycle, it's time for the spin cycle. Just like that. I'll give the tree a water now, just to rinse out any soap that's left in the soil. So giving it a good thorough watering. My excess water runs off the table and down into a bucket that I have on the back side of the table, so I don't get the floor all wet. I'm really liking my hibiscus. It's starting to get a lot of nice character to the trunk, and the branch structure is it's slowly getting there. Yeah, a really enjoyable tree, and when it flowers, they look fantastic. So, on to the next tree. My pink pixie bougainvillea here, it's getting really bushy and it needs pruning, but I'm not going to do it on this video because I think this will have to be a detailed pruning, and I may even have to defoliate the tree to kind of properly prune the branch structure. So I'll put the pink pixie bougainvillea aside, and the one I will be working on is my Ficus Microcarpa, the one I call Ficus Fancy because it has all this fancy root system on the trunk. Again, the purpose of the pruning today is not to do a detailed structural prune. It's just to get it all back in check so it's not taking up so much real estate in the plant room. Just to get it all compact and even out the vigor in the upper canopy. All right, so here I go. I'll just prune it to a umbrella-shaped canopy. And I think I'm going to go back to here for now. And just kind of getting everything in check. Back to there. This takes a bit of vigor out of the most vigorous branches, so it kind of balances the growth rate on the canopy. So there's not one branch taking off and thickening up. So it does it evenly. I noticed that there's a little bit of scale on the tree, so I'll have to get at that and pick off all the scale and give it a spray with soap and water also. Yeah, that's pretty good. There's a few lower branches down here at the back that I want to remove. I don't want those. They're too low on the trunk. It's nice to know you can always grow branches down here, but I just don't want them at this level. There's another one growing from here that I don't want. There's one growing here also. I don't want that because, you know, I want the eye to come up the roots and then flow up into the upper part of the canopy. So this sort of breaks up that flow line. Yeah, so that's looking much better. My Ficus Fancy is all trimmed up again. Looking better. And when I say, you know, these plants take up so much real estate, it's not just the surface area on the benches, but when they get really bushy, they block a lot of light coming in from the windows to the trees at the back of the plant room. So all these trees here on the table, you can see, are really full and dense, and when they're up against the windows, they just block all the light. So I'm starting to rely on artificial light more and more in this plant room. So hopefully I'll get my greenhouse built in the backyard this spring, and you know, next winter or some winter in the future, I'll have them all overwintered in that outdoor greenhouse, so I'll have more room. I've gotten a lot of those bushy canopies trimmed back now, and that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.